Happiness is a big business these days. Self-actualization is a straight-up booming industry. Wellness is for sale at any number of highly marked up outlets of your choosing. And in fact, the fast casual lunch spot Sweetgreen will offer you a word of helpful personal edification printed on your shopping bag with every $14 salad you buy at lunch. In fact, it has gotten so inspirational up in there that Sweetgreen makes me sad. It makes me feel like I'm not doing my job, because every time I go in that place, I walk out with words like purpose, passion, and commitment brandished across my compostable water glass and my soul. And I have the sneaking suspicion in these places where wellness has been branded and marketed to you that the purveyors of high-end lunches are horning in on my business model. After all, quasi-religious inspirational content meant to bolster you just enough to get through the week, that is kind of my thing, isn't it? So I feel bad. And I'm only kind of joking. Because it's hard not to feel imminently replaceable when the modern industrial and technological economy seems to have a beautifully packaged answer for just about everything, including what it means in this increasingly fragmented world to be happy. In fact, when Reverend Amanda and Cliff and I were sitting down a few weeks ago to plan this service on the difference between joy and happiness, there we were animatedly talking as we do. At least one of us was wildly gesticulating, as she does. When in the midst of all of our thoughtful theological planning, a familiar voice dropped in as if from on high into our proceedings and began speaking unbidden into the gathered company of worship planners. "Joy and happiness," said the unbidden voice from on high, "are wonderful feelings to experience, but are very different. Joy comes when you make peace with who you are and how you are, whereas happiness tends to be externally triggered and is based on other people, things, places, thoughts, and events. So saith Alexa." True story. And by that, of course, I do not mean our beloved former intern here at River Road Unitarian Universalist Congregation, Reverend Alexa Frazier. No, I mean the artificial intelligence in your purse or your pocket that just this very minute perked up her digital ears at the mere mention of her name. And here I will align myself with the forces of chaos and see what happens. Ready? Alexa, Siri, Alexa, did anyone's pocket just light up? That's how we know you didn't turn off your phone like the order of service says. Yes, Alexa and Sweetgreen and the dozens of different books at the very front of the checkout line at the Amazon bookstore, which put the Barnes & Noble out of business, which in turn put all the small bookstores out of business 10 years ago, all of those books on the subject of happiness, they all have the answers, don't they? The pursuit of happiness. Like a 10K one can train for in 10 easy steps. It is right there for the ambitious and the dedicated and the basically already blessed to attain with the right simple solutions. There is a mountain to climb, and doggone it, everybody's got plenty of advice on how to climb it, which leads me to my whole purpose here today. Because Alexa has so much of the ground already covered, you don't really need me to tell you much about the difference between joy and happiness, except to say that you cannot honestly buy either one of them, and making the pursuit of happiness into a privileged contest only the fittest can win seems to me like the highest form of heresy. If the pursuit of happiness is just another ego-driven contest, another societally dictated hierarchy, another thing to win at or to lose at in a game that is already staked toward the privilege to be honest, I want out. Cake baking should be a contest. Marriage, happiness, wellness, faith, those shouldn't. And yet so often we are conditioned to perceive that life itself and happiness within it is a mountain to climb and a personal goal to achieve and check off of that long, long list you have written on 15 Post-it notes above your desk. As David Brooks writes in his new book, The Second Mountain, every so often you meet people who radiate joy, who seem to know why they were put on this earth, who glow with a kind of inner light. Life for these people has often followed what we might think of as a two-mountain shape. They get out of school, they start a career, they begin climbing the mountain they thought they were meant to climb. Their goals on this first mountain are the ones the dominant culture endorses: to be a success, to make your mark, to experience personal happiness. But when they get to the top of that mountain, something else happens. They look around and find the view unsatisfying. They realize this wasn't my mountain after all. There is another mountain out there just waiting. The second mountain, he says, is joy. The kind of joy that comes when you don't try to achieve things for yourself anymore. The kind of joy that comes with actual interdependence, when you live not for your own advancement, but for a greater commitment to something you are only a small part of. Joy, he says, is what happens after the endless pursuit of happiness. And while I would be remiss if I didn't note that this unsatisfying view from the top that David Brooks proclaims is a view only a privileged few in this society are ever granted to see, I know for a fact there are those of us in this room standing atop that very edifice of our own achievement, wondering why we aren't happy when all the markers of happiness are right there for the taking. I think Brooks points us toward something profoundly true. That joy isn't something you can or should earn for yourself, by yourself, on terms you set for yourself. As Saint Alexa told us, happiness and joy are different. Happiness tends to be externally triggered. It is attached to achievements and attainments. Joy, she says, has its origin point somewhere else. A peace with being who you are, how you are, where you are. For my part, I would add one further nuance to the gospel already preached by my artificially intelligent friend. Joy, I think, is like grace. You cannot make a contest out of it because you cannot earn it anyway. Joy, the second mountain after achievement, shows itself to be shallow. Joy, I think, most often comes as a surprise. As William Wordsworth once wrote in a poem about finding God, or finding Jesus, or finding some combination of the two, he described his state in that moment of union with the holy as surprised by joy, impatient as the wind. Now, as always, I don't want to presume a dang thing about how you understand God or don't, about who the holy is to you and what is right there over your shoulder accompanying you in the most ineffable moments of life. But I dare say that most of us know exactly what it feels like to be both surprised by joy and impatient as the wind. See, here is the waiting miracle. Though being impatient as the wind is a state of our being so often in this hurried life of attainment and competition, though being impatient as the wind would call us to be frantic to prove that our own worth and dignity justifies our shot at happiness, there is a waiting miracle. See, right in the midst of our impatience, right there between all of our desires to be and do something else, anything else besides what we are already being and doing, right there so often is where the joy sneaks up on us. Sneaky as a mischievous 5-year-old child about to get in some trouble, quiet as a church mouse, joy surprises us where we never thought we'd found it. In boring things, in broken things, in early mornings and late nights. Joy surprises us in airport waiting rooms, in hotel bars, on picket lines, and sometimes when we are very, very lucky, on Sunday mornings. It catches us by surprise, even though we are the most impatient creatures in all creation. Joy sneaks up on us unbidden and unearned. Do not sit alone in the dark while creation sings 3-part harmony, wrote my friend and fellow clergy leader Om Prakash. Do not sit alone in the dark while creation sings in 3-part harmony. And I might add, do not fight your way up every mountain by yourself. Do not live this life as if it is a contest to win. Instead, Prakash invites us, dance, my friends. Dance wildly, sing joyfully, fill your heart with the beauty of the beloved as the beloved turns your soul to light. And in the end, that is the thing that saves it all. And frankly, that is the thing that makes me feel better when I go buy a $14 salad at Sweet Green. Because there is one thing Sweet Green can't sell us: community, real community. The chance to be caught by joy, and in that moment of utmost surprise, to turn and see the beloved given form in other people, people with whom we share a consequential commitment in this world, people who wear the face of the holy for and with us over and over and over again. Sweet Green cannot sell you each other. We find this joy in community, not because we have mutually each achieved perfect happiness, not because we have accomplished all of our goals, nor fought our way to purpose or 6-pack abs or clean living through the sheer force of our own will. No, we find joy sneaking up on us in community because we are in it together, because joy always comes in the morning after the long, long nights in which we have earned each other's trust by showing up over and over again. Sing joyfully. Fill your heart with the beauty of the beloved, as the beloved, reflected in each other's eyes, turns your soul into light. Let us sing our closing hymn, Welcome Table, and then let us party and have a great time.